I have found in life that if you want a miracle, you first need to do whatever it is you can do. If that's to plant, then plant. If it is to read, then read. If it is to change, then change. If it is to study, then study. If it is to work, then work. Whatever you have to do. And then you will be well on your way of doing the labor that works miracles. One day Mr. Schoff said, "Jim, if you want to be wealthy and happy, learn this lesson well. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job." Since that time, I've been working on my own personal development. And I must admit that this has been the most challenging assignment of all. This business of personal development lasts a lifetime. You see, what you become is far more important than what you get. The important question to ask on the job is not, what am I getting? Instead, you should ask, what am I becoming? Getting and becoming are like Siamese twins. What you become directly influences what you get. Think of it this way. Most of what you have today, you have attracted by becoming the person you are today. I've also found that income rarely exceeds personal development. Sometimes income takes a lucky jump. But unless you learn to handle the responsibilities that come with it, it will usually shrink back to the amount you can handle. If someone hands you $1 million, you'd better hurry up and become a millionaire. A very rich man once said, "If you took all the money in the world and divided it equally among everybody, it would soon be back in the same pockets it was before. It is hard to keep that which has not been obtained through personal development." So here's the great axiom of life: to have more than you've got, become more than you are. This is where you should focus most of your attention. Otherwise, you just might have to contend with the axiom of not changing, which is, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you've got. We call that what? A miracle, only because we don't quite understand how it works. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It simply means we don't quite understand how it works. So, how do you get a miracle going for your life? Number one, do what you can. Get a list of the stuff you could do and you haven't done, postponed, and start cleaning that up. You can't start at a better place for personal change. That'll affect your bank account, affect your future, affect your income, affect everything. You can't start a better life change process than cleaning up what you should be doing, the man says. Well, my mother lives down in Florida. I should have written her 6 months ago. I just can't seem to get that letter written. I'm asking you to get that letter written. Clean that up and don't walk like other people walk. Don't postpone like other people postpone. You say, well, is it as simple as writing a letter? And the answer is yes. Where else would you start for life change, personal change? You don't need a pink package to fall out of the sky. You don't need massive bombard, pre-conscious, subconscious practice channeling. Find a 1,000-year gold guru. I mean, you don't need any of that stuff. Pass on all that. Kids are afraid of that stuff. Too much of it. You'll be out on a limb with Shirley. I mean, don't pass on all that stuff. The stuff is too easy. The stuff is too simple. It's called take action number 1 on neglect, on errors, and discipline. Start setting up some disciplines. And if you do that, you'll perform a miracle. Now, the second part of the miracle is do the best you can. If that's not your philosophy, I would ask you to amend it. Let me give you the best of ancient script. Here's what it says. Whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. Do it with all your strength. And do it with all your power. What a good philosophy. That kind of philosophy revolutionizes your life if you haven't picked it up lately. Guy slips in late. Company doesn't seem to mind. Slips out early, first one in the parking lot, heaven for happy hour, stretches his break, comes early for lunch, late back from lunch. Company doesn't seem to notice. Guy says, best as I can calculate, I'm putting in about half a day's work, and I'm collecting a full day's pay. And the guy says, I got it made. Little does he know, the seeds of his own disaster are already being sown by the weakness of his own personal philosophy. It's not the economy that's going to determine your next 6 years. It's your philosophy about labor and about activity and about miracle and soil and seed and sunshine and rain and the economy and the banks and the money and the companies and the schools and what's going on. It's your philosophy and your attitude and then your ability to take action. All of that we call the process of life change, miracle working. Do what you can, do the best you can. Here was number 3, results. Every once in a while, you've got to take a measure. See how you're doing with these 3 pieces. Philosophy, attitude, activity. Now we take a measure called results. What are the results at the end of the day? The results at the end of the week. You can't let too much time go by without checking. When time goes by, 6 years I'd been out there working. When I met my teacher, Mr. Schiff said, well, Mr. Owen, let's just go through a little summary here. He said, in the last 6 years, how much money have you saved and invested? Let's go through a little tab list here. How much money have you saved and invested in the last 6 years? I said, what, 0? He said, you have messed up. You remember these notes? I like that you've messed up, he said. Who sold you on that plan? I thought, my gosh, the man's right. I'm a nice guy. I bought the wrong plan. What if you were 50 and broke, right? Didn't need to change. Countries bought the wrong plan. What a sad scenario that would be. But Shelf said these questions let's go through. Some results, he said. How many books have you read in the last 90 days? I said, what, 0? Wisdom of the world available. Change your life. Change your future. Wisdom of the world available. Develop. Develop any skill you want. Earn the kind of income you want. Have all the treasures you want. Equities you want. Relationship with your family that you want. Everything that you want available, and the wisdom of the world to help you get it. Haven't read any books in the last 90 days, my teacher said. Mr. Rohn, you have messed up. I'm telling you, you've got the deal Shelf, said Mr. Owen. In the last 6 months, how many classes have you taken? To improve your skills or to develop new skills? Go for the American dream. Become rich and powerful and sophisticated and healthy and influential. How many classes have you taken the last 6 months? I said, hi, how many? 0, he said. You have messed up. Said you don't need to unmess the country. You don't need to straighten out the perplexed. You don't need to straighten out any of this stuff. All you've got to do is look within and let results teach you a great deal about your own activity, your own attitude, and your own philosophy. I went through that process. Take this phrase home. Results is the name of the game. What other game is there? Results. Here's all life asks us to do. Make measurable progress in reasonable time. Just take home that little phrase, good phrase. We're asked in life simply to make measurable progress in reasonable time. We demand of our children, how many years do you want your child to spend in 4th grade? Approximately about 1. If it looks like they're not going to make it, we pour on the pressure called legitimate. Pressure, lack of results. Peer pressure, family pressure, school pressure, community pressure, every other kind of pressure we can bring to bear. What? You can't stay more than 1 year in 4th grade. As parents, you'd have to leave the community and say, well, what if they're nice kids? Wouldn't you give them 3 or 4 years? The answer is no. You got to make better progress than that. So you got to check fairly often. Some things you got to check every day. Some things you got to check at least by the end of the week. Salesman joins us, a little sales company supposed to make 10 calls first week. Wouldn't it be legitimate? Call him in on Friday and say, John, what? How many calls? I mean, this stuff is simple. John says, well, say, John, well, won't fit in this little box here. Well, now John starts with a story. You say, John, I made this little box so small, so a story won't fit. I don't need a story. I need what? A number. A number? What will a number tell me? Everything. John's supposed to make 10 calls. What if he made 20? You say, wow, we got somebody. What if he only made 1 call? Whoa. Will that tell us something about John's philosophy? And the answer is yes. Will it tell us something about his attitude? Of course. Will it tell us something about his disciplines? Of course. And if he wants a lesson in life change, all he has to do is be willing to face the numbers and come up with the results. That will teach you to either celebrate if you got good results, or fix whatever needs to be fixed in your philosophy, attitude, activity, called disciplines. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. The next one, miracle comes from your attitude. Having the right attitude is everything. How we feel plays such a major part in our future. First, it's how you feel about the past. You need a healthy attitude about the past so that you use it, not live in it, but use it. Not carry it like a burden, but let the wise lessons you learned from the past now serve as fuel to furnish the future. Next, a good attitude about the future. You've got to set your goals. We look back for experience, but we look forward for inspiration. We must be instructed and inspired. No better inspiration than to set your goals. I started this process when I was 25. Literally rocked my world, changed my life. I had no idea it was so simple. Here's how simple it is. Decide what you want. Write it all down. Make a list of the people you want to meet. Make a list of the books you want to read. Make a list of the classes you want to take. Make a list of the skills you want to learn. Make a list of the cities you want to visit. Make a list of the investments you want to have. Just make these lists. Start checking them off. Put a lot of little things on your list so you can start checking off something right away. That's part of the fun. Here's what's next. If you check off something major, celebrate, because that inspires you to make a longer list of goals and put everything on your list. Little things, insignificant to someone else, important to you. I put a little revenge on my first list. My mentor said it was healthy. Some of the people who said I couldn't succeed, kid from the farms of Idaho, they went on my list. Couldn't wait to get my new car, drive it up on their lawn, say, oh, pardon me, here's the money to have it fixed. Just a little satisfaction. My Japanese friend, Toro Ikeda, San Jose, put on his first list a Caucasian gardener. Way back then, everybody had a Japanese gardener. Everybody. Japanese gardener said, I'm Japanese, I'm going to have a Caucasian gardener. Okay, a little satisfaction, right? Set your goals. Decide what you want, write it down, start checking them off. It's powerful stuff. Next, it's how you feel about everybody. If you want to be a leader, a true leader, entrepreneur of the highest order, well-respected, unique in your field. Here's one, how you feel about everybody. And this is philosophical as well. You cannot succeed by yourself. So, a unique sense of appreciation of everybody goes with the territory of leadership. It takes everybody for each of us to be successful. One person doesn't make an economy. One person doesn't make a symphony orchestra. It takes everybody for this gathering today. All of you had to be here to make this gathering. Everybody. If one of you were missing, there wouldn't be this many people here. Everybody to make something work for the office, whatever, the enterprise. Takes everybody. the gift of America. But it's everybody who came over the last 200 to 300 years, bringing with them their gifts. No country has become such a depository of the gifts of the world like America has over the last 200 to 300 years. People coming, bringing their gifts. Gift of language, gift of learning, gift of politics, gift of government, gift of medicine, gift of healing, gift of music, gift of the work ethic. All this came in steady streams from all over the world, making us unusual because of the gifts that were brought. And to understand that and appreciate it now gives you open access to the market that's available to make your fortune. Now, what I love to do is go back where these gifts came from. Not long ago, I was in Rome. I had 1,000 people in my class. Someone suggested Jim Rohn loves the music of Andrea Bocelli, the blind opera singer from Italy. So when they introduced me, I walked to the podium, and all 1,000 of these Italians stood up and sang for me one of Andrea Bocelli's songs. In true Italian style, here's I described it to my grandchildren. Later I said, here was the scene, a choir of 1,000 and an audience of one, and that was me. I thought, here's where some of these gifts came, the gift of poetry. So I'll learn to appreciate the gifts. Now, the last attitude is how you feel about yourself. Nothing more powerful than self-esteem, which creates self-confidence. The greatest steps towards success comes from self-confidence, and that comes from self-esteem. Doing what you know you should so that at the end of the day, you have high self-esteem. Last but not least, your equity. Martin Luther King Jr. said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. God says, now I'm an amateur on God, but here's my best analysis. God says, if you'll plant the seed, I'll make the tree. Now that's a good arrangement. Number one, gives God the tough end of the deal. What if you had to make the tree? That'd keep you up late night trying to figure out how to make a tree. Say no. I'm telling you the mystery and the miracle of this stuff has already been set up. God says, I got the miracle going. I got the seasons going. I got some sunshine and some rain, and I'm God. But the way I've arranged that, I just need somebody to plant the seed. Not chant in California. They're trying to chant, get this stuff done. Forget this California stuff. You don't have to rub a crystal and sleep under a pyramid. Stuff's too easy. Getting rich is too easy. Changing your life is too easy. Forget all that, right? Massive bombard affirmation, forget all that. My opinion, ocean waves and seagulls. Come on, this stuff's too simple. Just simple, easy stuff. But if you neglect it, that's how it piles up year after year. But if you're willing to straighten it out, and here's one of the keys, it's called activity. It's called disciplines. Turning wisdom from your philosophy and inspiration, the strengthening of attitude and faith and courage, commitment, and all this stuff that comes from attitude. If you're willing to take these two qualities, philosophy and attitude, and invest it into activity, you can have a miracle. Anything short of that, no miracle. Wisdom doesn't perform a miracle. Attitude doesn't perform a miracle. The only thing that performs a miracle of increase is called equity. It's called putting wisdom and attitude into discipline, into labor. And this labor now can perform America. And here's the two parts to the labor. One, do what you can. Number two, do the best you can. Can't give you better advice than that. you.